Peace of the planet Earth. You know what it is. I am with a man who needs no introduction if you know anything about hip hop, chess, or martial arts, right? If you know anything, about the people who really been bringing like the 36, 37 chambers, the infinite chambers. You know what I mean?
Mom.
Yo, peace to the God, RZA. Thank you for sitting with me today, man. How are you?
The Bishop. How you doing, Bishop?
Yo, man, I feel blessed, man. I feel blessed. I'm excited about this, man. So, you know, we're going to start at the beginning, right? I want to talk to you about the creation of Liquid Swords. I know a lot of people don't understand why chess and hip hop are so connected, even still, right? And so for those people, what do you say? I know what I say. I'm curious to what you say when people are like, oh, you know, what's up with this connection? Because there's still a lot of people in the chess world who are still confused. What do you say?
Look, chess is one of the biggest games in the world, right? So of course it's going to be played in every community.
Word.
And for us in hip hop, you know, we play chess as a pastime, just like any other community use chess as a pastime. We also looked at chess as a way to improve strategy, chess in a way to express yourself. And Wu-Tang, we took it serious. You know, a lot of those
the most serious,
super serious. A lot of albums we were recording in my studio is the studio, and basically it's only 2 games that take place in my studio. 3 games, I would say.
What you got?
But in the beginning, only 2. One is a deck of cards so you can play some spades.
Right.
And the other is chessboards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we played a lot of chess, recording a lot of songs. You know what I mean? We also, you know, the video game guys, we kept a video game there for the TV, for the PlayStation guys. But guys like me and the RZA, me and Master Killer, me and True Master, Street Life, you know what I mean? Rebel, I Soldier, you know, the chessboard was circulating with us.
Period.
And I think New York culture has a lot to do with it as well. You know, in New York, we have people in parks that will have chessboards out. So Washington Square Park, of course, being one of the main ones.
Right.
When I was growing up in New York, though, I could walk down 42nd Street and there'd be a bunch of chess tables lined up.
Everywhere, right?
You know what I mean? And then especially at the World Trade Center.
Oof.
You know, I still sell
so much chess by World Trade Center.
I used to be a messenger, so I would stop at my lunch break and play chess there with those OGs. And so chess has been part of the hip hop culture. And when you go back and check other, you know, hip hoppers, you know, like obviously remember, you know, for whether it was Melly Mel or Kumo D, you know, you hear about because once you're in the chess and you're playing in the park, somebody could be saying, yo, Melly Mel was here, or Kumo D was here, or something that relates. And now they may say, yo, RZA was here, Jizza was here.
Right. Yeah, so for sure.
Me,
no, that's for sure.
Chess and hip hop, especially in the streets of New York, and I think mostly anywhere, but I don't need to speak for New York because that's where I grew up.
Yeah, word.
But they was intertwined. You know, we knew who Bobby Fischer was.
Yeah. Now, when you made that record, Liquid Swords, it's really interesting because, you know, before we met, you know, I met Jizza before Wu-Tang. I met Jizza during Come Do Me, during Cold Chillin'. Like, that's how far we go back. We met at a club called One Up in San Francisco, and like we were broop, you know what I mean? Like I remember when he used to live with his grandfather, I used to call him. Grandpa used to answer the phone, and I'd be like, "Hello, is the genius there?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, the genius." You know what I'm saying? You know how grandfathers are. And so but like, I knew that he liked chess, but not like that. But I knew that I like chess. You know. Now, when I look at Liquid Swords, I'm always blown away because it was like hidden in plain sight kind of a thing. You know, that's how I felt about it. What was the first song that you recorded for that record? And then do you remember what the last one was? Like when you think about the recording of that, what was the first and the last song?
Actually, the first song recorded was the song Liquid Swords.
Right.
That was recorded early in the development of the album. Maybe even before he had the record deal. It was just like that was something.
Just the idea.
Yeah, just the idea. And then I think the last song recorded to be funny, the last song recorded is actually the last song on the album, where he says we was on the same slave ship.
Yeah.
When the brother gets the G.O.D.
Yep.
Yeah,
Man.
that was the last song recorded, and that was also right when Killer Priest had recorded Bible already with Fourth Disciple.
Dude, that song itself was
that's
just
a crazy one.
That was crazy song.
So I was like, I got to get another one with Priest and RZA together, but
yeah,
Priest, he didn't end up on the song, I don't think.
right.
But that was the plan for that song, but it ended up just airing it out, and it was just continuing with the dark vibe of the album. So that was.
It was so street. It was so grimy, and it was so like you could feel it, man. Like you really did bring the streets into that particular record. I wanted to ask you, just because you mentioned Bible, you know, like there's something like with that child laugh sample that's kind of in between the drums, man. Yeah. Like where did that come from? Because like it evokes emotion. And I found that my appreciation for so much of what you do isn't necessarily just the beat, which I love, or just the lyrics, which I love, but you are able to provoke emotion. Like, do you remember where you found that? What was that? And like,
well,
it fit perfectly. It was perfect.
No, for that particular song, that was actually done by my student. Wow. So on that album, I produced the entire album except the song Bible. My student, Fourth Disciple, that was his chance. And he was smart as a producer. What Fourth Disciple would do as a producer, while most producers, I think at that time, had hundreds, if not thousands of records to sample from, Fourth Disciple basically made most of his career from one crate of records.
No shit.
He stuck to one crate, and he just constantly regurgitated.
He was just going through. He was pulling all
for that same crate, and I thought that was an ingenious way he used that. He used that sample right there. I forgot the name of the sample.
Yeah, no, that's such a great song.
I just want to say what we wanted to do with that song was also introduce the world to Killer Priest. One thing I don't know if you know this, Bishop, is that I'm a student of the RZA. Right. But so is Master Killer and Killer Priest. So those are my classmates. We all have the same enlightenment. The same
I hear you.
Teacher. And so for me, Killer Priest he was my classmate who wasn't yet real. Right. Even though I became the Abbott, I was like, I got to get the high priest.
Woo! Because he brings, I just heard him on a Snow Goons track. Yo, he came in swinging. You know what I'm saying? I was like, woo, and I'm already a fan, but he brought it. You know what I'm saying? Man, now, back to chess. When you are trying to improve your own chess game, right? How do you do it? Is it books? Are you watching people playing in the street? Are you playing with RZA online? Are you consulting with grandmasters or international masters? Like, how do you, when you try to be measurably better in chess, what are you doing?
It's multiple processes. I recall the first time that I realized that I need to improve, because at first I was probably the best player in the crew, but the crew started improving, whether through more play, but also the RZA himself, he started studying theory and studying books, and I wasn't aware. But one day at his crib, he was beating me so bad, and his son Kareem, who he loves his big cousin Rakeem, so he just came over. When RZA went to the bathroom, he was like, "Yo, my dad is in the books, right?" And
just in case you forgot.
Yeah, so then I started getting a couple of books and studying theory, because theory is good. It's always good to understand what the grandmasters and people before you have already discovered. This is how science grows, this is how mathematics grows, this is how chess grows. And then when you get to a certain point, when you get stouted and the book is not enough information, it's good to come across international masters or grandmasters. So I was fortunate, I think, through the Hip Hop Chess Federation to meet Josh Wakens, right?
Right.
And
those were fun times, man. Those first few times when we kicked it, those were amazing.
Amazing, brother. And what made it special though, also that Josh gave me a bit of advice that I took and utilized. He told me a certain opening. He thought from watching me play that this opening would be the opening to define my style.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I had a very attacking style, but yet I'm a ninja with it. So
word.
He felt that this technique would be the one. And so I studied that technique. And then I came across international 6-time military champion, Emery Tate. You remember Emery?
Rest in peace.
Emery showed up.
G.
Now, I never knew that. If you look at Josh Waken's games, right? They have 10 of his best games in his books, or if you ever get his app or whatever.
Right.
And in one game where he loses, but it's still there to teach you, is a game against Emery Tate.
No kidding.
No kidding, yo. And I didn't know this. So when Emery came to the tournament that time,
to the Mind Over Matter in San Francisco, yeah.
I played him with the technique that Josh told me to use, but I didn't realize that this guy
already knew the
script. And about move 20, he's like, "Well, it's a bunch of bums here, but I finally met somebody who got some theory and technique." And then he went on.
What better compliment can you get than that from Emery Tate? Listen, if you don't play chess and you don't know who Emery Tate is, he passed away, but he died at the chess table.
Right. Yeah. You know, so Emery actually became friends, and so look, I'm the type of person, if you beat me, I can accept defeat, but if I can live through defeat, so chess is a game where you die on the board, you don't die in reality.
Word.
That's one of the things I think we like about it also in hip hop. It's a chance to test your sword, to fight for your life, but yet it stays on the 64 squares. But if you can improve yourself with the person that defeated you. And so me and Emery became friends, and Emery actually introduced me to the Tazo system of chess play.
Tazo is like Rakim. Yeah. Tazo is the Rakim of chess, bro. Because he'll be like, "Oh, you watch this, you think that's cool?" Whoop! And he'll just break out. Exactly. And you're like, I don't thought, what?
Exactly. You hit you. What would you say when the earth get further and further away and planets seem small like balls of clay?
Balls of clay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
So him bringing me into the Tazo world, that helped me as well, because he realized I was attacking, but I was attacking with the style that Josh gave me to the ninja attacking. But Tazo is ninja aggressive.
Woof.
You know what I mean? And so we spent some time with Emery, and then after you get a certain level, because sometimes chess you get stouted, right, on how far you can go.
Right.
And I think nowadays that, I don't really get a lot of time to be around a lot of people and a lot of playing. I go online like everybody else.
Right.
And what I try to practice to improve myself, Bishop, is I try to practice blitz games so that my brain can move faster, because I realize that time sometimes is my biggest enemy.
Yo, you speaking so much science right now. So you remember, of course, the movie Fresh, because you were on the soundtrack, right? Yep. I'll never forget what's his name's character, the dad.
You got Giancarlo, you had Lawrence.
No, the Fresh's dad. Fresh's dad
was
I'm
Sam
looking
Jackson, right?
Yeah, Sam Jackson. Thank you. For some reason I could see his face. I just couldn't say his name. So I remember when he's in his trailer and he's showing a game to Fresh, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a game with so-and-so." And then he shows all the top masters. He goes, "If you put them on the clock, I'll eat their ass up." Yeah. Yo, like that to me is the essence of hip hop chess, meaning that the pressure's on, right? Yeah. That you feel it, and that like you're gonna make it happen because you have to. I love speed chess because it adds that extra pressure, man. And I that scene, I just used to watch that like 7 times in a row sometimes. You know what I mean?
That was one of my favorite scenes too, because it made sense to understand that it's just like, look, a boxer could be a champion in the ring, but he could lose in the streets.
Man. Even though start bobbing and weaving on him with some of that whoop whoop.
Yeah, some of that 52 hand block.
Get you with that 52, it'll be all different, Now, one of the things that has always impressed me about you, and I've mentioned this in passing, is truly that you went to Shaolin Temple in China. Like that was next level. Because I mean, again, hella people like martial arts, hella people used to go get some movies, you know, buy some nunchucks, you know what I'm saying? But like, you went to Shaolin. For those that didn't know that, or maybe knew about it in passing, what was it that compelled you to go? And what did you leave with anything you didn't expect to learn?
Yeah, yeah. Definitely left with something I didn't expect to learn. You know, Shaolin Kung Fu has been spiritually connected to me since I was maybe 14 years old, maybe even 9, but I can say at 14 I realized it. And it's been a place that in one part of my life it was mythological.
Right.
And yet in another part of my life it felt very real.
Valid, like authentic within you.
Yeah, really real. So it's crazy how you watch movies and your mind, you know, could take you to places far, far away. But what happened for me, Adisa, is that I was blessed to meet a real Shaolin monk named Sifu Shin Ming.
He's so amazing.
Opened a school in New York City, and I became a student.
Word.
And he wanted to bring his students, 60 students, back to the motherland, back to Shaolin. He wanted us to go and become ordained. The Abbott there would ordain us all as official Shaolin students. And I couldn't miss that opportunity. And I went, and when I got there, standing in the place where, you know, a lot of the horse stance, the dragon stance, the tiger stances was formed. Standing in this great spiritual place and going through the graveyard of pagodas and going through the chambers with my Sifu. I learned a lot, and what really struck me, I guess, the most is that as a Black man, and you see the paintings of some of these first 13 monks or 18 Lohan, and you see that some of them were Black men as well.
Yeah, that's always blown my mind.
And so Sifu goes on to tell me, of course, because Bodhidharma, who was the Indian monk that left India, he's a descendant from the Dravidian tribe who actually migrated from Africa.
Basically jet black. Like if you don't know what a Dravidian looks like, look at something that's jet black.
Yeah. So he's a descendant of that tribe who migrated to India. Yeah. And then eventually went to bring the teachings to China, and he stopped at Shaolin. Yeah. So to learn that history and to know that it exists, that I didn't expect to learn that. But I'll tell you one thing that made it even more beautiful. So there's a legend that he walked up to this mountain and meditated inside of a cave. And he meditated so long in this cave that the only thing would come in was light. And he stayed there so long in that same position that his shadow, as you see my shadow is being presented, he stayed there so long that his shadow left an imprint on the stone. Okay, and they have that Bodhidharma stone in Shaolin. And you know, whether you take it as fact or fiction is up to you. But
it don't even matter. Like it's deep. Like it's deep and it's beautiful.
But I seen the stone. Right. And then they took me to one day, said we all gonna walk up to the cave. Now, the Shaolin monks have to do this every day, bro. All right? Dang. And so I said, I'm gonna do it. And me and my classmates, we start walking. And after about maybe, I don't know, let's just say the equivalent of 2,000-3,000 steps. Yeah. I was like, woo, this shit is deep. It's getting. And guess what? That was just the base of the mountain. Okay? And half of the class didn't go further. And then the other half went up another few thousand and gave up. And then maybe out of 60 of us, only a dozen made it to Bodhidharma's cave. And I was one of those dozen. And I went inside that cave myself, physically. So the RZA went inside and prayed in Bodhidharma's cave, y'all. And all praises do that. But the question, you know, I was just trying to say the things that your imagination could lead you to. Because no, I'm just watching a Kung Fu movie. I'm getting fascinated by it. My album's called Into the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, right? I'm naming my neighborhood Shaolin. Right, and guess what? One day in my life, Allah blessed me with the privilege to go on that which I call it a pilgrimage.
Mm.
I took a pilgrimage.
It makes sense.
Shaolin.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And it would be unfitting if you could and you chose not to.
Right. I wouldn't be real. Right?
You know what I'm saying? Now, when you were out there, I'm sure they embraced you with open arms for several different reasons. I mean, you know, your relationship to Xian Ming. Did you get the sense, though, that they understood hip-hop, or were they just happy to have a sincere visitor?
Well, you know what was incredible about this? And you never know the seeds you leave behind, right? True. Before I answer this, though, how's this light doing? Because I know it's kind of coming in through.
So far, I think we're okay. We're okay. But I know now when Mike sees it, he's going to be like, you should have told him. But you know.
Should I move the frame this way?
You know what? That's That's tight. That's tight. Word. Okay. That's tight.
So anyway, hip hop, you know, was definitely even more rare in China the time I went.
Especially at that, because what year was that?
This is like 01 maybe. Right?
Yeah, that's what I thought it was 2000. Like I figured 2001.
Yeah, maybe 2001. Yeah. So hip hop is definitely rare there, right? I've been there multiple times, but this is my first time there. But I could say this, brother, that in front of Shaolin Temple, while my classmates all demonstrated Kung Fu and stances, when it was my turn to demonstrate, I demonstrated a lyric. I sat there with a big circle of people and monks and Kung Fu fans from around the world, and I did a verbal Kung Fu exercise. Bro. And I walked away, everyone clapping, cheering, and some kids running up to me, inspired by what they just saw me do. And I think that's a blessing.
You just took me to, that's crazy.
Yeah, so that's what happened. That's the actual fact.
So what is your favorite chess book or movie? Like when you're like, I'm in the zone. Are you watching Fresh? Are you watching like Bobby Fischer versus the World? Are you know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's a new one that just came out that it's on my
list. John Leguizamo.
Yeah, I didn't see that one yet. So that I probably
neither. I gotta look for that. Yeah. Okay, your thing went out. You went dark. Okay, you're back.
Yeah. So there's one that's coming out with John Leguizamo. But I think Searching for Bobby Fischer, one of my favorite.
Gotta love it.
Of course, Fresh took it right to the speed game. But I like I think it's called Porn Sacrifice, which was Tobey Maguire playing Bobby Fischer.
I never saw that one. I was so hyped to go see it, and then something happened. I didn't, and then you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's a good watch. It's a good watch, and so yeah, I mean, I love when movies give us a chance to look into the minds. And even the one that really got my whole family was The Queen of Kwatme.
Yeah.
My whole family watched that and enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I was happy.
Man.
I was happy because my son, he's just started playing. He started playing at 13.
Yeah.
He started a little late, but that movie helped inspire him as well.
No, that's great, man. Now, let me ask you this. One of the things that people talk about in terms of hip hop as a learning tool, right, is this idea inside sociology that, oftentimes, specifically when it comes to Black people, they tend to say that, Africa was mainly an oral history kind of place, right? Like they didn't have necessarily the written word, which is not even historically accurate. Like we're not going to have that part of the conversation because we men of knowledge of self and we won't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, anybody unclear will have to look that part up. What I did want to ask you though is the sociologists say the sign of a literate society is a strong oral history, right? So now when you look at the evolution of hip hop, right? When people said in 73, 83, it's not even music, And now, what was Jay-Z's got a book? Stickman's got a book. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you see this whole movement of hip hop literature, right? Coming out and
Eminem,
right. Crazy
Cent,
books. Exactly. What's his name down in Texas? You got what's the dude down Prince? Jay Prince got a book, you know what I'm saying? And I love it, right? Even my man Fab and Mac Mall got books. What made you write the Wu manual? Do you remember when you were like, it's book time. I'm curious to know.
You want to hear what happened with that?
Go.
Okay, okay. Check it out. I wasn't going to write the Wu manual. What I felt that I was at an age and experience that I needed to write my experiences and write a book of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that, you know what? I lived, I've seen. I'm a black man in America that been through it. I was a young millionaire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I went through the criminal system and I've been through a lot.
Right.
So
he said I've been through a lot.
Yeah. So I felt it was time for me to write a book of wisdom. And so I sat down with a book agent.
Mm-hmm.
And the agent told me that that's not the way to enter. He said, you have to enter the book world. Coming from hip hop, it's best to enter with something that gives you a better, less risk of being successful. And I took his advice. He said, you know, maybe if we do a book that's more based on your music and more based on the Wu-Tang, like the Wu-Tang manual.
Right.
I mean, I came with the title. I was like,
said
it, I was like, first I said, no, forget you. And then I thought about it for a week or two.
It was like, that's actually kind of fresh.
I could bring the Wu-Tang manual to life. Because the Wu-Tang manual, everybody wanted it in the movies, right? I said, I'm going to bring the Wu-Tang manual to life. And so I did it. But I will say I did it with, it was what they call it, a condition. I did it with only on one condition.
What was that?
I'll give you the Wu-Tang manual if you promise that I will do my second book on wisdom. And that was part of the contract, and they agreed. And that's why we have, to me, I love the Wu-Tang manual.
Yeah.
But one of my proudest works that I offer the world is my book, The Tao of Wu.
It's definitely a deeper dive, right? And you get more of your personal journey out of it. But they're both fantastic, and they're both super foundational, and they both, to me, the reason why I'm excited is because when I learned that part about like the sociology and the oral moving into the written, it was when your book was killing, Jay-Z was killing, like they were all, and then they'll have that whole like hip hop drama books, you know what I'm talking about, like the hood novels, like all of it's hip hop, blood, you know what I'm saying, like even though it's street related, the streets is hip hop. So that really kind of, I love that, man, and I'm grateful to you for those books, and I hope that a lot of the people that'll be reading that issue, that they get it, that they understand it, that they expand, right? Their knowledge of chess beyond the algebraic notation,
Exactly. One funny thing about the book, I was hanging out with my brother Quentin Tarantino one night, right? And he was hanging with me, shall I say. So he was amongst, the hip hop crowd. He came to hang out at a couple of concerts. And, a couple of fans came backstage and they were seeing us together. And they was like, there was my fans. There was his fans, but there was my thing. There was my fans. It was like, they're talking, you're a Wu fan? He said, yeah, Mo. He said, of course. He said, yeah, but did you read the Wu-Tang manual? And Tarantino said, I am in the Wu-Tang manual. Beat that.
You know what I'm saying? That's fucking great. I love it. I love it. Now, on a production level, I'm always curious about what triggers you, because again, like for me, it's the pulling of emotion. Like to me, that's the stamp that you have. You know what I mean? Like every super producer, and you are unquestionably a super producer, has kind of like a personal stamp with me. You know what I mean? Right. For like Premier, who oh man, that verses, huh? Y'all, that was like, well, your boy had the old quivering tear. I was like, you know what I'm saying? But Premier's stamp is not just how jazz related and melodic his music is, but I actually find him to be a melodic scratcher. I'm from the Bay. Mixmaster Mike lived right down the street.
Nice.
2 blocks. You hear me? I made my second beat at DJ Cubert's house.
Wow.
So I know turntablism. Right. I used to host the International Turntablist Federation events. I know DJs, right?
Nice.
Premier had the melodic scratches. Because people can be like, when you can transform like, right? But that's different than being melodic with that scratch. There's only a few. And he's the best, right? So everybody has their stamp. Your stamp for me is the pulling of emotion. And so I'm always curious as to what you use. Now, I know you've talked about the EPS and the ASR10. What processes are you taking now? What equipment are you using now that you're finding is feeding you the highest level of your artistry?
Well, now I'm a composer now.
Right.
So before I had to dig through tons of records and samples to find what I've been looking for, which was either E minor or A minor chord, right? If you listen to Wu, it's always that major and minor. Listen to Can It Be, major, minor.
Right.
So it's like happy, sad, a tug.
Right? Tug of war.
Listen to Tears, right? And you hear that, wow, it's an E major, right, to a B major. But when it hits that C sharp minor, that's the tear.
That's that pulls. That's what pulls on you.
So now I could talk about it in clear language. I didn't know when I was sampling it that was
you just knew what you wanted to hear. You knew what you wanted to hear.
So now I have the ability to actually, I can even talk it now.
You can make your break if you want to make your break.
Yeah. So answer your question is like I sit in front of that piano first. And in front of my piano, I come with my ideas, and those ideas then evolve into a hip hop beat or evolve into some type of musical score or cue for a movie, or even evolve to that new Good Humor jingle.
Right. That was dope. You know what I mean? That was such a beautiful thing. How did that come together? Was that like you were like, yo, I'm going to do it? Or did someone say, RZA should remake that?
Well, no, they called me up. They was like, yo, would you do that? And I was like,
wow.
I didn't know the total history. You know what I mean? I was disconnected, but they brought me up to speed.
It was a great idea, what I mean? Man. It was a great idea.
I was like, you know what? Let's do it. You know, Adisa, if we as men, whether even on the chessboard, right?
Right.
If you in a situation on the chessboard where you in a negative position, you got to strive to find a positive outcome of that. Or find the positive in the negative, or replace the negative with a positive. If a guy's doing a bad opening and he's only losing because he's losing in the opening, he's never getting to his middle game. Right? If he's losing in his middle game, he ain't making it to his end game. And if he's losing the end game, what was the process? What was the purpose?
Of all of that?
To lose. So the gag of it to me is, how do you replace a negative with a positive? Because the negative exists.
Right.
Well, how did you replace it? So with the Good Humor thing, it was like, okay, that song exists. It's been in the zeitgeist for 100 years. But now let's replace it with something that's made from pure love and pure joy.
Yeah.
Something that's pure. And that's what we did.
Man, it's fantastic. Now, you mentioned the piano, which brought me to, I actually had thought about this. Literally, it just passed. I wrote it down right before we spoke today. How many instruments can you play?
Me, I mean, of course, piano, drum, bass, guitar. I could blow a little trumpet as well.
That's crazy.
And once you got those instruments, in today's, of course, I'm a programmer.
Yeah. Right.
Harper's chord is easy to play anyway. Anybody can play that.
Right.
But anyway, being at those basic instruments, once you know the piano in today's society,
right? Because
things come in synthesizers now.
You can
if you know the piano, you could basically create an orchestra.
Yeah.
Because you could have a synthesizer with every instrument in the orchestra. What I would advise somebody to do, though, is once you learn the piano, you realize that a flute or strings have a different type of staccatos to it. Or a guitar have pitch bends. So you can have a piano with a guitar sample in it, but you can't bend it. Right. So I would always advise that try to understand the physical nature of instruments, even when you're using them on a synthesizer. Word. So I know that a horn is like, it could go from a soft to a vibrato to, a blast. Right. So that means you got to hit that key a certain way. Like with Triumph. Right. Hear my song Triumph. You see Triumph, it's the same chords playing, but the amplitude changes. And by changing the amplitude, it changes the emotion. It makes you want to start marching. By the time Ghostface start rapping, you ready to turn something up. You know what I mean? All the way. That's absolutely a fight anthem. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Now, what hobbies do you have that people might not expect? It's a good one. A hobby that I have that people may not expect. I can't, what, I mean,
Well, I'll tell you mine. Most
I don't
people
know.
wouldn't expect that I garden. I like to do plants. So like I'm about to start a whole bonsai tree thing. You know what I mean? Like I used to
That's
grow
beautiful.
roses and I stopped growing roses. And so I started watching Cobra Kai and I was watching Miyagi and I was like, that's my OG stuff right there.
It got you back out there?
Bruh, yo, I went on Amazon, started looking up bonsai trees, not the little juniper ones, but like the other ones. So I got me some willows now. I'm growing stuff.
Nice.
I got pieces of trees in jars that are sprouting roots, and I'm thinking about how I can make some other ones fruit and all of that. Like, I love it.
Well, one of my hobbies then, you know, I'm embarrassed to say, is I love to cook, yo. I love to cook, bro.
What do you like to cook? Like when you're like, I'm about to go home and make, what are you making?
Wow. Well, so now I'm vegan, vegetarian now.
Word.
But I had you know what Swiss chard is?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I took the Swiss chard, right? And I made this, you know, first of all, I'll give you a little listeners.
Yeah.
All right. So first you get the cilantro and the garlic and you dice that down to, you know, you mince it. You mince it.
Right.
And then if you take anything like, you know, whether you take some potatoes and, you know, you hit the potatoes, hit the chard. Right. And fresh lentils, I got to say. Lentils is a big thing in the house.
Always.
But when you get that plate, right, if you take at the last ingredient you add, no cook it.
Right.
I mean, right before you serve, like 30 seconds before you serve, you add a teaspoon of that minced cilantro and garlic into it.
Ooh, I'm on it. I'm about to go.
My wife called it the cracks. We keep it in the refrigerator.
Is that good?
We keep it in the refrigerator. Like she'll go shopping. The first thing I'm doing is mincing that up.
Yeah.
Think about 7 ounces of it. And yo, as I get older, I may squeeze a little lemon in it to kill the bacteria that grow.
Yeah.
And all that, but it's a little crack for you.
Ooh, I love it. That's great, man. No, I love cooking too, man. Like I said, I just went vegan about 6 months ago, and I really like it. It's really helped my body. But what was interesting is my veganism came through meditation.
Nice.
And my rededication to meditation came through Camp Tazo. So what happened is I went to Camp Tazo and I was like, you know what? He's right. I need to be on my meditation. Because I had been doing meditation for many years prior, but I kind of, just 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, right? I became very dedicated after Camp Tazo.
All praises due.
Yeah, all praises due. And what happened is one day I woke up and my body was like, don't eat any eggs. Just straight up.
Right.
And so I ate eggs anyway because I just went to Costco. And I was like, nah, bro, we about to get our money's worth. And I ate it and my body was like, didn't I say? Right? And I didn't like it. The next day, my body was like, don't eat any meat. Next day, my body was like, no dairy, no cheese. And it wasn't like, I don't have desires for it. It's not like I see a burger and I'm like, oh, I wish I could. Like, I'm like, yo, the meditation let me listen to myself, right? And that's the first thing that I learned from Buddhism when I read the Dhammapada, right? Was you know, because in them days, I would just eat until I was over full, right? And Buddha was like, eat until you're satisfied. And I was like, I don't even know when I'm satisfied because I'm just shoveling food. You know what I mean? The more I got into my meditation, I felt like I could hear my body, not just say when it was satiated, but say, that's not good for me anymore. Even if it was good for you 10 years ago, it's not good for you now. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted to thank you.
Formula, do we? No more.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And so I wanted to thank you for revitalizing my meditative practice and always being consistent and that you offered good vegan food when people are around you. You know what I'm saying? And so I appreciate you.
That was a great camp, brother. I'm glad you came and you helped the kids, you know, with the chess.
So cool, bro.
That was a great idea. And it was, you know, they asked me to do it.
Yeah, how did Camp Tazo come together? Tell the people who don't know about it what it was, because it was amazing.
Yeah, well, Camp Tazo T does these camps. I think they're gonna do one every year, and they choose different people to come and be the host of the camp. And they reached out to me basically because some of the team at Tazo and at Edelman, they read the Tao of Wu. And so the beautiful thing, that's why I said the Tao of Wu is one of my favorite things that I've done because of what it does for people.
Right.
You know what I mean? But anyway, they read the Tao of Wu and they was like, yo, we want to share this. Would you come to our camp and be the host and share this with a group of people? And I was like, you know what? That's something that I feel like I'm meant to do.
Dude.
It don't take economics for me to do that. You know what I mean? It's like certain things you do because that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And that's how I felt. You know, like I told my wife, I said, this is why. I said, no, well, they talking about from the book. If it comes from the book, I gotta
be down. Right. I gotta be down.
I gotta get back on that plane to China. You gotta live out what's real.
Yo.
You know what I mean? But anyway, it was a beautiful experience, and I'm glad that you was a part of it. I'm glad Sifu.
I was so honored. I remember when she and Ming walked in the room, I was like, oh.
Bomb.
I was like, it's fixing to be on today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was beautiful, man. You know, again, thank you for inviting me up, for allowing me to teach chess and life strategies. You know, everybody I met was amazing. The food was amazing. The conversations, the art. The remember when we went to the mansion afterwards, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And we had more vegan food delivered.
It was so good, and we were just vibing. And then you was downstairs on the turntables and people started falling. Like, that was crazy, man. That was crazy.
Would you agree to this? And I think, would you agree that meditation is better than medication?
Listen, I will not only wholly agree with that, I can tell you that since I've went to Camp Tazo and rededicated myself to meditation, I have never been more at peace with myself. I have never carried as much joy, like genuine joy.
And
like
you look 5 years younger, bro.
Yo, you did it. That's you, player. That's you.
You reverse that shit on him like, bomb.
Yo, you really, I'm telling you, when I left, because I remember, see, here's what you don't know. When I got the invitation, I was in London. Okay. And I was with my lady, and I had just seen Simon from Pearling London. We'd been hanging out over at their offices, looking at chessboards and all of that. And it was my birthday. Like, my birthday had just passed. And I asked myself, okay, who is the 50-year-old Adisa? Like, does he still do jujitsu? Maybe he doesn't.
Right.
Does he still eat meat? Maybe he doesn't. Does he meditate? Does he pray? Is he Muslim? Like, I really was like, who are you, bro? And I was like, among all that stuff, as I said, no matter what happens in your life right now, say yes and worry about the details later. Now, I was on vacation. So I get the call, right? And it's like, RZA would like you to come out. I was like, pss, pss. Yes. Now I'm on vacation. Right. And I just said I'm going, right? So what happens is, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make it happen, but I'm going to make it happen. So they bought the tickets. Once the tickets is bought, it's on. So I get back to work at my school, and he was like, hey, man, how was London? I said, it was great. I had a fantastic time. It was a great birthday. However, I got to go. He was like, what? I was like, in about a week, I'm going to need to go to New York. And like, he was an old dude. He was a physicist. And I was like, how do I tell him? I said, do you know who the Rolling Stones are? He was like, yes. And I was like, I want you to pretend that Mick Jagger wanted you to come to New York and talk about physics, right? What would you do? He was like, I guess you have to go. I was like, exactly. You know what I'm saying?
That's nice.
And it was just a great trip. I loved everybody that I met there, but that meditation really changed me. And I think that the problem with sharing the value of meditation is that an individual doesn't understand it until they experience it. Like, I can tell you what meditation is bringing me and how it centers me and how it makes me have a better conversation with my friends or my parents or just within myself. But when you experience it, you know what I mean? Right. So when I was with you, I got into meditation. I was doing like 10 minutes. I'm doing 2 hours now.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You know, I'm doing 2
You're
hours.
traveling.
Man.
You know,
And
there's
I
a
love
lesson. I could put it in a sentence. Says the body is a vehicle for the mind. So that means if it's a vehicle for the mind, it doesn't mean just when you're walking, because it's still being a vehicle, but even when you sit still, it's a vehicle. Because when you sit still, then you can launch like a rocket.
So one of my sayings is, like, when people ask me about the benefits of like yoga and meditation, I say, until you can sit in silence with conviction, you will never move with authority or conviction. You won't do it because you have to have that stillness. You have to be whole and present, you know? And so one thing, here's what I want to ask you. So one of the first times I interviewed Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, shout out to Maurice. Thank you for everything you've given the chess game, you know what I'm saying? North America and the world. He suggested that he thought Will Smith would be an ideal opponent for you. And he gave me the impression that he thought Will might be able to holler at you. Now, like, to get you, bruh. Now, I spoke several times with one of Manny Pacquiao's chess coaches, and he was like, what's up, Kung Fu versus boxing? I was like, yo, I'm all down. First question is, have you ever came across Will Smith, and what do you know about his potential chess skill, and what's up?
Yeah, I never came across him on no chessboard. I ran into him, you know, I'm in Hollywood, so I ran into him a couple times, but we never got on front of the 64 squares. But that's a challenge I would take. If he, you know, if you want to do that, let's do that.
You know what I'm saying?
Maurice played me before. You know that, right?
Right.
And you know, Maurice is so imposing because he's a grand. He's
he's the Debo.
He said, he said I had a good game, but I blundered it because I was looking at the player and not the board. So if he thinks, you know, look, and that was some years ago. If he thought Will could take me from those days, maybe he would have been right. But I don't know about now.
But right now, you got to deal with the Abbott today. You know what I'm saying?
But back then, I was only breaking wood.
Right.
Right. Now I'm breaking bricks.
Yeah, you punching into stone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Send them on.
Now, also, I remember a while back, I think you challenged Jay-Z on video.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
He was kind of, I don't even think he spoke. I don't think we ever heard. You know what I'm saying? So here's my idea. You ready for this idea?
Go for it.
I want to organize a hip-hop chess competition for charity in, like, Monaco. I want to do this 007 style, you know what I'm saying? Aston Martin's popping up out the ride, you know what I'm saying? Kung Fu versus boxing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that could be hot, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm in, you know what I mean?
That'll be fun, bro.
I'm in for the culture.
Yeah.
And, I'm definitely looking to chop a couple of heads off.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that could be hot, you know? So now I want to ask you about your personal life. You've achieved so much. You know, I have to say, to quickly go back to Camp Tazo, one of the things that really, I mean, obviously we've been friends since 06, but what I'm saying is going to Camp Tazo, going through Shaolin and seeing Staten Island made me have a whole new respect for you, because I didn't understand. I mean, of course, it's the West Coast. Everybody got hoods. Hoods are not new. But being in Shaolin, I understood the odds. I was like, what are the odds that these dudes would come from hip hop to take over the entire planet, to have the whole world know their logo, right? Like, that was like an amazing experience for me to observe, just being in Staten Island. Now, you've accomplished all these things. As a producer, what compels you to do music after having achieved so much? Is it just the love for the music? Or are you, I mean, just to be honest, are you less musically inclined now because you have done so much? Like, where are you?
I make music, you know, at least 3 or 4 days a week, especially on the quarantine. I've been really making a lot of music. Music, anything that you love, yo.
Yeah.
You know, if you're blessed to make economics off what you love, then that's the blessing. And we are blessed. Wu-Tang was blessed to take our hobby and turn it into our livelihood. it took determination. Determination goes good with aspirations.
Right.
Aspirations go good with imaginations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so those elements are what came to us and what caused us to push as hard as we can to be known and to leave our footprint. But today, even with all the people say the success, and I feel blessed with success. I won't.
Of course.
Like my refrigerator has never been empty in years.
Right. You good.
I went from welfare cheese, okay, to don't eat cheese and still got a full refrigerator. But so all praises due. But I would say that I'm still motivated because I love music.
Right.
I love film.
Right.
You know what I mean? I love chess. I love art. And these are the reasons why these things remain in my life. Just like I love my wife. You know what I mean? And we are happily married, moving through the world because love is there. Yeah.
I remember seeing you guys at the last time you guys came to the Bay. You know what I mean? And your son was there. And like, it's just great. Like, I didn't even recognize him because he was so tall, you know?
Tall, quick,
and I was like, yo, this is so dope. You know what I mean? And that's a blessing for real, man. Now, before I forget, speaking of meditation, you did guided meditations. I think that was an original thing you did that took kind of the world by what? You know what I mean? And they were beautiful. What was the trigger for that? What inspired those?
Well, when Tazo, when we talked about at the camp about, how do we leave this information behind for the people who don't experience the camp? How do we do it? He said, well, we could just kind of paraphrase it and put it into, and record something and put it out. And first, it was going to be just me talking as we're talking. And the word can travel, but I think the word travels better with music, right? And so I just had the inspiration to make it a musical experience.
It was great, bro. It was great. You know,
I will say this to you: no motive, like it was no expectation, no reason. It wasn't like I said, it was no economics.
It was like the Tao. It just was.
Yeah, a lot of things that really, and that's when I say this out loud, because I know it's hard for us to say that, and we live in a capitalist society. But even when I go back to Wu-Tang first album, 36 Chambers, we didn't make no money to do that.
Right.
This is guys showing up, at somebody's house, hungry to say what they feel. And that's Method Man. That song becomes Method Man.
Right.
You see what I mean? So when money got involved, you notice that less material started coming. because now there's a reason, and now you're not moving freely. You're moving only when you're pushed.
Right. That's deep. That's deep.
And so the explorations was done that same way. It was just like, you know what? Let me do something cool like this.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, you're going to do that? Wow.
Man, that was just, it was great, man. I mean, that was great, man. And I think not trying to get too racial or nothing, but I just want to say that hearing a black man lead a guided meditation, that's historic. Wow. I don't think I ever heard a black man do a guided meditation.
That's crazy. I never thought about that.
You know what I'm saying? Me either until, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, yo, I don't think anybody does, So man, and hold on. I got so many questions.
So we probably got one more. I think my battery about this.
Almost done. Okay. So let me ask you this. This is important. We've got two chess worlds. The actual tournament world and the global culture. I have always taken it as a HHCF dude that it's about the global culture, because that's to me what makes people play chess. They don't necessarily even know who any of the grandmasters are. They just love it. And you know what I mean? Or they love Wu-Tang, or they love that their grandma plays, or, their cousin or little sister, their kid, right? How do we unify these worlds? Because I feel like they are unnecessarily separated too much in the hearts and minds of most players.
Wow, that's a good question. I don't know if I have the answer, but I could suggest steps towards that answer, which is, look, all we have to do is make sure we find the common denominator. And the common denominator is those 64 squares. You know what I mean? It's those pieces that's lined up on it. We all love it. The grandmasters, they love it. They dedicate their life to it.
Yeah.
Right? And so does the kid in the park who goes to the park after school and sits there, and so does the guy who's hustling for $5 a game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We all love it.
Yeah.
And so if we could somehow find a way to cross-pollinate based on that love, and that's as simply as inviting each other to each other's world.
Right. You know what I mean? And that's why I love like how Josh would come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of the other chess killers would come out, you know, Emery Tate, you know what I'm saying? Daim Shabazz, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was beautiful, man. So, okay, here's my real last one, and it's a one-sentence answer. When you die, after your funeral, what is the first rap song you want played?
Well, that one is the answer you'll never get out of me. As Bodhi Dharma said, how can I know? How can I think I have not died yet?
Word, man. Yo,
that's one thing I have not done.
Right. No, man, I'm gonna tell you, man, and may Allah bless you and keep you and preserve you, man. And thank you for everything you've given to hip hop. Sincerely, I'm telling you that, like, as a friend and as a fan and as a participant of this culture of hip hop. Like, I appreciate what you've given, and I also want to thank you not just for the things, the sacrifices you've made that we know. I want to thank you for the sacrifices I've never seen and I'll never know. I appreciate you and your time.
Thank you, Bishop. Respect to you. Peace and family. Peace.
Word. Yo, man, that was great. I will talk to you soon. I may email you like one question, like after I send it to the chess people. Like, well, what about, you know, I may email you a question. You can just email the answer back.
Whatever you need.
But this is slated to go, just so you know. I'll send another email to Tam later. We'll get you and Mike hooked up so you can shoot the cover. Once the cover is done, we got to turn it in by, I think, November 1st is the deadline. And we're set to go, man. We're set to go.
Sounds positive. Thanks for considering me, and thanks for what you're doing. I appreciate you.
Of course, man. Of course. All right.
Hey, yo, you know what I want to say, yo? Just tell them that keep their swords sharp. Keep those liquid swords sharp, yo. Boom.
Word. God bless you. Appreciate you. Have a blessed one, okay?
Peace.
Talk soon. Peace.
Teacher, what star's that? It's my own secret technique. Bishop Chronicles. What's it called?
Check me sucking out a movie.